What's good, people? I'm back, and after seeing Yuri Prohaska get starched like that, this idea has been on my mind for quite a while. I haven't really been able to get the time, and uh, I accidentally might have been in the shower a couple hours ago, and I might have been using my phone, and I might have accidentally called a couple people. So uh yeah, I'm in bit of a pickle, yeah. So, and I might have also accidentally sent a picture of me showering that shows my feet and my legs to the group chat, but yeah. Yeah, what was this video about again? Yeah, yeah, today, who the fuck, dude? My parents, I gotta fucking throw my parents out of the house or something, dude. Like, I record my videos at night type shit. So my parents, they're like sleeping and shit. Why are these motherfuckers snoring so loud, dude? Both of them. I should generally just fucking throw them out of the house or something. Anyways, the topic of the video is the UFC fighters with the best and the worst haircut. The UFC fighters haircut tier list. Now, let me preface this by saying I might have missed out on a couple of people. I might have to make a part 2, but I'll need at least 25 other fighters to make a part 2. And right now there's only one fighter that is missing from the list, at least in my opinion. Fuck my life. At least in my opinion, that is Deshaun Strickland. But you know what? We'll just ignore him. If I can find 25 other fighters to make a part 2 of this vid, I will add Deshaun Strickland and Tarzan Strickland to the fucking list. Dude, my light is fucking glitching out. My light is having seizures. Fuck, dude, I really gotta work on my pronunciation type shit. Anyways, let's get this list started with. I'm not gonna waste any more time. It's been like 2.5 minutes already. Starting with who do I start with, dude? Who do I start with? Let's start with the guy that gave me the idea for this tier list, Yuri Prohaska. Now, where is Yuri Prohaska on this list? Now, if Yuri Prohaska still had that ponytail, if he never shaved off the ponytail, that ponytail hairstyle would have been in at least an 8 year. But considering he doesn't rock it anymore, and considering it is a bit ugly, now that there are two things that come into account when I'm talking about your haircut. First, does the haircut look good? And second, is it iconic? Now, if the haircut is kind of shit, but it's so iconic that you practically own the haircut, I might bump you up a couple spots. G Prohaska, he owns the ponytail haircut pretty much, but he doesn't rock it anymore. If he still had that ponytail, I might have put him in A tier or maybe even S tier. But the fact that he shaved it off, I have to put him in B tier respectfully, because that shit, it does not look good. I don't know. It's some samurai bullshit, but it does not look good. And now that we are talking about Yi Prohaska, I would like to bring this up as well. The Yi Prohaska, when he had before he had the ponytail, that haircut that he had before he had the ponytail, the haircut that he had for the Volkan Ozdemir fight, the fucking I don't know what it was. It's not even a proper mullet. I was gonna say it's like a mullet with the sides all shaven off, but it's not even that, dude. It's just like a patch of hair on his top. It looks cool, don't get me wrong. It looks cool. But dude, neither did he rock it for that long. When you say Yuri Prohaska's haircut, the first thing that pops up in your mind is the ponytail. It does not look better than the ponytail, but it is also not as iconic as the ponytail. That's why I'll be putting this in the C tier. I think that's pretty respectable. I don't. It's not as iconic and it's not that good. It definitely is a better haircut than the ponytail, but it just doesn't have as many aura points, if you get what I'm saying. Next up, let's get Mozwar into there. Movsar Evloev. I'm talking about Movsar Evloev after he grew out his hair, the long hair. in the Leron fight, in the Aljamain Sterling fight, I'll put it in the solid 8 here. It's a canon event where Russian fighters, they shave off their head and they grow their hair out. Khamzat did it. Evloev did it as well. Islam used to have long hair. It's a canon event for these Russian fighters. So I think it belongs in the 8 here. It's a very good haircut. He looks better in it, no doubt. Yeah, dude, it's a solid haircut. It's long, messy, but it suits the guy very well. I, and I don't know, man. It's just a good haircut. Even I like till a week ago rocked the same haircut as Evloev. Then my dad made me cut my hair off, and now I look chopped as shit. But yeah, let's not bring up my past trauma. Let's move on to the next guy on the tier list. That is Sean O'Malley. Sean O'Malley. Now, where does he rank? Now, the reason I would have put Sean O'Malley in the S tier. I was really considering putting Sean O'Malley in the S tier because his haircut is iconic and it looks good. The dyeing and all that. There's one problem. He changes the color. He dyes his hair so often that it's not as iconic anymore. And also he braids his hair, and his hair is also curly and it falls down. His long curly hair that falls off to the side, and he also braids it. So it's sort of like it's not one particular thing. That's why it's not as iconic and it doesn't have as many X factor points as one might say. For me to put it in the S tier, that's why I think it's a pretty respectable 8 tier haircut. It looks good. It's iconic. Sure, could it be better? Yeah. It could have been better. Not gonna lie. It could have been better, but it is what it is. Sean O'Malley, I'm gonna put him in the 8 here. I think even if I had curly hair, and it's so like, it suits him so well because Sean O'Malley's hair is curly, but it's not like it does, they don't entangle with each other. You know what I mean? They're curly, but they're not like his hair on his head are not like pubes. You know what I mean? What the fuck am I even doing with my life, dude? I'm rating Sean O'Malley's hair, dude. Next up on the tier list, we got Marcus McGee. Man, do I have some words to say about this guy. Marcus McGee, if you don't know, he fought Piotr Yan. He got a jump up into the rankings, completely undeserved. Marcus McGee, he's a decent prospect. I think he's around top 15-ish. I don't think he deserves to be in the top 15. I think he's fringe top 15. Like, he's just around top 15. I think he's top 20, top 25 at bantamweight. But the haircut, man, oh my fucking god. What is my meth dealer doing in the UFC? What is my fent dealer doing in the UFC? Like, dude, go get me some weed wrapped up in a fucking paper bag, dude, or some shit like that. Like, what the fuck is my drug dealer? Why is my drug dealer fighting Piotr Yan? What's with the fucking hairstyle? It's like, why would you do that to yourself, bro? You look homeless. And it even if and it's the fucking texture and color of his hair that makes it even worse. Like, if you knew your hair looks like that, if you knew your hair was brown and it had that texture, why would you rock dreads like that? And they're not even like proper dreads or some shit like they're not even proper dreads. They're homeless dreads. They're homeless locks, dude. There's a way for you to do these things. People have rocked this hairstyle before. It's like the black man's golden hairstyle, but that is not how you pull it off. You look like a crackhead on the side of the street. Like, just look at the picture and tell me this shit is not D tier worthy. I was thinking maybe adding another F tier to this list, but I was like, you know what? Nah, it's only 25 fighters. I don't think we need that many tiers, and I think 5 tiers is enough. Next up, we've got Joe Pyfer. Now, Joe Pyfer will be on this list twice. This is the Joe Pyfer pre-post hair transplant. Let's just say, there's a reason he got the hair transplant done, dude. He looks decent. He doesn't necessarily look bad or anything. But dude, there's a reason he got that hair transplant. He got that head done in Turkey for a reason. Dude, if you knew that was your hairline, I wouldn't even keep as much as he has kept in that picture. I would just go completely bald. Like, if I knew that was my hairline, I would just keep it completely bald, dude. Why would you even have hair at that point if that's your hairline? His hairline looks like a fucking you. He's like nearly achieving Vegeta status, dude. So that's why I'll be sincerely putting him in the C tier. I hope I never encounter this guy while I'm stopped at a red light, if he hears the words that are coming out of my mouth. But I mean, it is true. I'm really happy for him that he got the hair transplant done. Because if Salty Joe Piper was looking like that, I could not take this motherfucker seriously. Next up, we got Joe Piper again, but post hair transplant. Post hair transplant Joe Piper. It's just a completely different energy, man. He looks like a fucking mogger. I know he still keeps his head shaven, but imagine if he rocked that hairstyle all the time. Dude, that guy looks like he looks like the type of guy, like the police officers that would arrest you. Before that, he looks like a fucking police officer that would commit a felony. Now he looks like a police officer that would still commit felonies, but at least he's like chill. You know what I mean? He he just looks better, dude. He looks 10 times better. And yeah, the hairline, whoever did his hairline, dude, you're a fucking genius. They lined him up like he was Thrag, dude. They fucking gave him the tightest hairline of all time. And I really like the slick back hair that he was rocking. It is a bit thin, and it's not as iconic, and it is a bit thin, but the fact that he got the hair transplant and the hair transplant is part of the Joe Piper lore, that's why I'll be respectfully and sincerely putting it in the A tier, above Mob Sarabov, but below Sean O'Malley, definitely. Yeah. The next fighter on the tier list, we got Curtis Campbell. If you don't know who Curtis Campbell is, he just got slept by Danny Silva. And he was this big English prospect coming from the UK. He has this personality, he's like purposefully cringe. And he rocks this kind of nerdy aesthetic. Listen, the haircut is iconic, but the fact that you got slimed out by Danny Silva, and the fact that he's still pretty new, and the fact that many fighters before him have rocked the ponytail, it sort of cuts down the X factor points. And it's not, the lore of the ponytail isn't as big as it is for someone like Yuri Prohaska. You know what I mean? So that's why I'll be putting him in the C tier. And let's just say the haircut looks atrocious. If it had that X factor, I would have maybe put him in B tier. To be honest, that shit deserves D tier in my opinion. But it's not completely horrible, and it does have a bit of X factor, so I'll put it in the C tier. Next fighter on the tier list, we got Paddy Pimblett. Now this might come as a shock, but I'm putting Paddy Pimblett in the S tier. That haircut, it's iconic. Everybody knows it. You see a British kid that's blonde and he has long hair, you think of Paddy Pimblett. There was a fat British kid dancing and he had the same haircut as Paddy Pimblett. Everybody called him Paddy Pimblett before UFC. That's just how iconic the haircut is. And the haircut isn't necessarily that bad either. It's not a bad haircut by any means. Yeah, it's a bit overgrown. He looks a bit homeless, and you have to kind of style it right for it to look good. And he does have to braid his hair. But dude, it's not a bad haircut, and I think it's like borderline S tier. Like, it barely fits into S tier. You know what I mean? It's like you could make an argument for the haircut to be A tier, but in my opinion, I think it's S tier. And finding S tier haircuts is very hard. Because these fighters, man, they just don't have good haircuts. And the haircuts that are iconic, they aren't good. Paddy Pimblett is the one of those guys that does have an iconic haircut that is good. But it's like it doesn't have as much X factor, and the haircut isn't that good. But considering everyone else that's on the tier list, I think S tier is fair. S tier is fair. Maybe you could make an argument for Sean O'Malley being in the S tier as well. But I think the tier list is fine where it is. Next fighter, we have Tim Elliott. And when I said haircut, I was mostly including the hair on top. But for Tim Elliott, we gotta include the beard, bro. What the fuck is he doing? he genuinely looks homeless. I was considering maybe putting him seat here, but the haircut doesn't have X factor, dude. He genuinely looks homeless. Like him and Marcus McGee they're like the fucking homeless duo in the UFC. They are right. The place in the rankings is around the same. You know, they're 125, 135. He's like Marcus McGee's fucking distant relative, dude. He's like Marcus McGee's third cousin. Marcus McGee is my fent dealer. This guy, Marcus McGee is the drug dealer. This guy buys the drugs. You know? Come on. Yeah. Bro, Tim Elliott. Shave that shit off. Shave that shit off, bro. I don't want to see Tim Elliott with... And the haircut, the hair, it's horrible. I saw him fighting Kaya Sakura, dude. Listen, I'm not one to, insult somebody about their looks, but dude, why would you do that to yourself? Listen, I have had bad haircuts in my life, but dude, shave that shit off. Like, if he didn't have the beard and he just had that shitty hair, that would still be decent. But the beard just completely fucking ruins it, dude. And yeah, those are my... I'll be putting you in the D tier, dog. Next fighter, we have... Who do we have? Did I fucking add a fighter? Or did I just forget? I'm fucking retarded. Yeah, next fighter we have is Islam Makhachev and Volkanovski. It's not Islam Makhachev and Volkanovski per se. I'm not including Islam Makhachev or Volkanovski in this tier list. Islam Makhachev, the photo I'm using of Islam Makhachev is for the buzz cut, and the photo I'm using for Volkanovski is the bald haircut. Because so many fighters rock the buzz cut and they're just straight up bald. It's like one of the most common haircuts. It's like fucking 70-80% of fighters have the same haircut. That's why I'll be putting both of them in the B tier. And yeah, I think it's not necessarily that good. It doesn't have much of X factor, and it's not bad either. Buzz cut, it looks good on everyone. You go bald, it's whatever. I think it's decent. It fits right in the B tier, exactly in the B tier. I don't think anybody's arguing for the buzz cut or the bald haircut, the bald head to be above or below. I think it's pretty fair where I put it. Next fighter we have, as we are talking about the buzz cut, we might as well talk about Rose Namajunas rocking the buzz cut. Now this I will put in the A tier because it has the X factor. It's iconic. Like if you ever see a girl with a buzz cut and you are an MMA fan, even if you're casual, you think, oh, Rose Namajunas, and she's the only female fighter who actually has the buzz cut. And I'll just say this, maybe Rose Namajunas might be the reason why I'm into tomboys. Might be, I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure that's the reason why I'm into tomboys. But she might be. So I think Rose now, and she's like the only female on this tier list as well, because other female fighters, they don't really have a haircut that's worth mentioning on the list, So I think Rose Namajunas rocking the buzz cut, it's fair. It's like, and it's, she's a girl, but it doesn't look bad either, I know people are saying Rose Namajunas should grow her hair out, which I have no problem with. If she rocks like the hair, if she rocks longer hair, I have no problem with it. She'll probably look better, but I think the buzz cut is just so iconic, dude. It's like when you think of Rose Namajunas, you think of a female with a buzz cut. If you think of a female with a buzz cut, you think of Rose Namajunas. That's why I'll be putting it in the A tier. And it's not that good looking, but it's not bad either. So that's why I think A tier is where it deserves to be. And next fighter on the tier list, Tame Impala. What the fuck is Tame Impala doing in the UFC? Go make music or something, dude. Come on, Superman, say your stupid line. What the fuck? I know he cut his hair shorter before the Vinicius Oliveira fight, but we will be including Kyler Phillips with the long Tame Impala haircut. Kyler Phillips, dude. I'm putting this guy in the C tier. It doesn't look good, The shorter hair arguably suits him better, But it has the X factor. That's why I'm not putting in the D tier. But it's fucking Kyler Phillips, dude. It's Kyler Phillips. It doesn't have enough X factor for it to be higher than C tier, and it doesn't look as good either for it to be higher than C tier. You know, some people rock the long hair. Some dudes can really rock that long hair. Like, who's that fucking YouTuber? Oh fuck, Penguin Zo. He rocks the long hair. But Kyler Phillips, man, it's just he's not it, and that's not even the problem. The problem is he looks like fucking Tame Impala. You know, like the Tame Impala songs start playing in my fucking head, dude. Every time, like the whole, and he's not even like a popular or famous fighter either. He doesn't have a personality either. That's why I think C tier is fair. He doesn't have much X factor. The haircut's kind of shit. But I guess it is a bit iconic with the whole Tame Impala memes and stuff. So yeah, C tier is pretty fair. Next fighter, oh my god, bro. Dominic Reyes. I was genuinely considering putting him in the D tier, but after a bit of reconsideration, considering the fact that fucking Marcus McGee is in the D tier, I think Dominic Reyes definitely has a better haircut than Marcus McGee. Dominic Reyes, I don't know why he keeps that fucking haircut, dude. He has like, I know people who have the same haircut as him. I used to have this fucking computer science, this IT teacher back in my school. He used to have the same haircut as Dominic Reyes, where it's like you're balding, your hairline's pushed far back, but there's like a patch of hair in front, like like the fucking dynamic island on the fucking iPhone. That's why we used to call that fucking IT teacher, that IT sir. We used to call him Mr. iPhone. I'm just dropping low at this point, dude. But like the fucking dynamic island iPhone haircut, dude. It's horrible, dude. Just shave it off. Rock a buzz cut. Go bald. Do a hair transplant or something, dude. It's just horrible. But it's not that bad either. And I've seen him with the same haircut for so long. I've kind of gotten accustomed to it. But fucking Marcus McGee and Tim Elliott, it's definitely better than whatever that is. So I think C tier is fair. It's like the very end of C tier. It's possibly the worst haircut in the C tier. It's borderline D tier. He's like competing with Leon Edwards for the worst hairline in the UFC. And next fighter, we have JDM, Jack Della Maddalena. Now, JDM, if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm talking about the mullet that he's been rocking since the Gilbert Burns fight. And I think it's pretty iconic. It's pretty decent. It looks good. It's not a bad haircut. Sure, is the mullet a bit exaggerated? Yeah. But does it look bad? No. Could it be better? Yeah, definitely. But is it bad? No. If you see a Aussie ginger, or if you just see a ginger guy in general rock a mullet like that, you'd think of JDM. If at least, even if you're a casual UFC fan, you'd think, oh, that's JDM. That's literally Jack Della Maddalena. I think so. It has a bit of X factor, not as much as some of the other people in the tier list, but it's not a bad haircut by any means either. I think it's 8 here. It's decent, and it's not even like a long mullet as well, to the point where it's like overgrown. It's like not a rat tail, so it's like a short mullet. So that's why it looks kind of decent. So I think 8 here is fair for JDM. Yeah, mate. That's it, mate. Yeah. I'm gonna rock the fucking mullet. Yeah, that's it. Next fighter we have Benson Henderson. Oh my god, dude. This shit is borderline C tier, dude. Listen, it's not necessarily as bad as as egregious as Kyler Phillips, Marcus McGee, or Tim Elliott, but it's still not good either, dude. Benson Henderson, dude, just shave that shit off. But it's also sort of iconic. It has a bit of X factor, not as much as some of the other people on the tier list, but he definitely has it. He's definitely on the bottom end of the B tier. That's what I was saying. I mean, all you gotta do is take a look at that fucking haircut, and he has that long haircut, and it's curly, and it looks like overgrown pubes. I don't think it looks like overgrown pubes. That description applies to the next person on the tier list. That is Clay Guida. Clay Guida genuinely deserves to be in D tier. That shit is ass. Let's be, as much as I want to say that haircut it looks good, but it's because you've never seen Clay Guida with a decent haircut. You've always seen him looking homeless. If he had a bit of a beard and he looked a bit more dirty, he'd genuinely be Marcus McGee or Tim Elliott. He'd genuinely be like a fent dealer. He'd genuinely be my drug dealer. And Clay Guida, Benson Henderson, they sort of have the same haircut. It's like tomato. So I think both of them in the B tier makes sense. Benson Henderson, his hair is curly, but it doesn't necessarily look like pubes. But Clay Guida's hair is curly and it does look like pubes. It looks like the fucking root of trees. So yeah, that's my reasoning for putting both of these people in the B tier. Now, if we were to be objectively speaking, Benson Henderson should be B tier or mid C tier, and Clay Guida should be mid C tier or D tier. But because these guys have that X factor and the Clay Guida lore that they couldn't really put his hair in the first UFC game or the second UFC game, whichever one it was, they had problems rendering it into the game, and that lore kind of adds a bit of X factor. That's why I think B tier for both of these guys is pretty okay. I think it's decent. Next fighter on the tier list, we have Leon Edwards. Oh my god, it's like Dominic Reyes but worse. Like, I don't know why he keeps whatever hair he has on his head. Just shave it off. Like, and I would say it has a bit of X factor, but it's like opposite of X factor. Like, when you have X factor, it's because the haircut is iconic. The haircut is iconic, but for the wrong reasons. Everybody calls you bald spot dead. Every time he loses, his hairline gets pushed back. When he got knocked out by CP, I'm looking at the fucking comments. People are saying his hairline got pushed back even further. People are saying bald spot dead. Dude, people are making fun of you, dude. Just shave that shit off. It's that simple. I don't know why he would keep that haircut. And it's like the balding. The reason it's D tier, it's not necessary. You could argue that Dominic Reyes' hairline is worse, but the problem is it's the hairline of the man whose hair, like the receding hairline, dude. It's like when those guys with receding hairlines just try to save their hair, whatever they have, and it's just so embarrassing, and you feel so sad for these guys. And man, dude, it's genuinely that, and that it's so sad, and that's why I have to put it in the D tier. And if that wasn't enough, the fucking bald spot dead memes. Yeah, it genuinely deserves D tier, dude. Next fighter, we have Diego Lopez. Now, it's not as egregious as the people in D tier. It's definitely a C tier haircut. But the thing is, it's so iconic, and the whole lore and the whole X factor. Tonight will be the night that I will fall for you over again. Don't make me change my mind. The fucking Diego Lopez mullet. It's so iconic and it has so much X factor. I will say, after he grew out the mustache and shaved the hair on his sides even further, it does look worse. And if he didn't do that, it might have been S tier due to the X factor. But it just got worse. The haircut got worse. If we're talking about the Diego Lopez before the Jean Silva fight, the haircut Diego Lopez had before the Jean Silva fight, I would say that has X factor. It looks not horrible. So I would say there's an argument for it to be S tier. But I think A tier for this haircut is pretty fair. And the X factor is doing a lot of heavy lifting. The lore behind the haircut is doing a lot of heavy lifting. It's really carrying it up to the A tier. Yeah. And the next fighter we have on the list is my GOAT, Tatsuro Taira. But I'm not talking about any haircut. I'm talking about when Tatsuro Taira grows his hair out and he dyes it blonde. Or just grows his hair out in general. It's a good haircut. I don't like seeing this guy with the fucking buzz cut, and it's genuinely iconic, dude. And it's gonna become even more iconic when he goes on the title run and when he beats Joshua Wan and people actually start noticing him, because it's not like he has a nothing burger for a personality. He isn't necessarily uh, that famous or that popular. His personality isn't out there as much, but it's not like it's bad or anything. And I think the haircut isn't as iconic, but it's one of the better haircuts on this tier list so far, dude. And I think 8 here is pretty fair because it doesn't have a lot of X factor, but the haircut is genuinely good. It's genuinely one of the better haircuts. So I think Tatsuro Taira being in the 8 here, the long hair Tatsuro Taira being in the 8 here is pretty fair. And I think that sums it up pretty well. I think we should go to the next fighter on this tier list. We have Charles Johnson. Dude, why would you? It has a bit of X factor, let's be real. Because nobody I have ever seen other than Charles Johnson has had that haircut. I didn't even, before seeing Charles Johnson, it didn't even cross my mind that that haircut was even possible. I've seen worse haircuts. I've seen dicks drawn out by people's hair on their head, but I've never ever fucking imagined that. How do you even come up with this shit? And that's why I think there's a bit of X factor. That haircut is genuinely atrocious. It's the worst haircut on this tier list. Maybe Marcus McGee's haircut is a bit worse, but I think it's definitely competing with Marcus McGee for the worst haircut on this tier list spot. And I think the X Factor does a bit of heavy lifting and puts it like right up in the C tier. But it's definitely the worst haircut in the C tier. It's even worse than Dominic Reyes. There's no doubt about it. But it's the X Factor that's carrying it. Charles Johnson, the Charles Johnson curse, the Charles Johnson lore, it sort of carries it up. So, and the part that people know Charles Johnson for that ugly ass haircut, I think that plays a role into it. And I think Charles Johnson being in the C tier is pretty fair, but it's definitely the worst haircut at C tier. Don't get me fucking wrong. Next up, we have Dan Hardy. Is it a bad haircut? Yes. Is it possibly D tier? Yes. Does it have X factor? Does it have aura? Is it iconic? Also, yes. Now, is it as iconic as it was 10, 15, 20 years ago? As it was back in the day? No. People sort of forgot about Dan Hardy and forgot about his haircut. But if you Google top 10 worst haircuts in the UFC, in UFC history, Dan Hardy's name shows up because he has the fucking red mohawk, dude. And it's a bit iconic. I have to say, it's worse than Charles Johnson. No, I think it's definitely better than Charles Johnson. I think it should be above Charles Johnson. I don't know. I forgot to put him above Charles Johnson, whatever. But is it still a good haircut? No. That shit is borderline D tier. That shit is D tier. But it's the fucking thing that it's so iconic. It may have been B tier because of the X Factor thing, because of how iconic it is and how much aura it has. But it has sort of died down over the years. It's Dan Hardy's haircut is not as popular as it was back in the day. So I think it drops it down a notch. So I think C tier is pretty fair for Dan Hardy. So yeah, and the next fighter on the tier list, we have, who the fuck? Did I just what the fuck am I doing? We have Chuck Liddell. It's a solid beat here. He has the fucking mullet. It's sort of iconic, not really. But if you Google iconic UFC haircuts, Chuck Liddell shows up. So I think that's why he deserves to be here. And it's not necessarily that bad of a haircut either. And Chuck Liddell has always had this haircut. I saw him in a podcast. He still has the same haircut. So I think it's pretty fair to put him in the beat here. If we didn't include the X Factor and the aura thing, he might have been in the C tier. But because we are including it, I think B tier is pretty fair. Just behind the buzz cut and the bald haircut. I think, yeah, that's pretty fair. Next fighter on the tier list, we have the final fighter on this tier list and the second fighter in the S tier It's the one and only Charles the Goat. There's a reason he's in the S tier. The haircut, it looks good. If you think of a Brazilian fighter dyeing their hair blonde, it's Charles Oliveira. If a fighter dyes their hair blonde, it's Charles Oliveira. The haircut is possibly the most iconic haircut in the fucking tier list. If you see a guy and they go from having normal hair and they dye their hair blonde, what do you think of? You think that's Charles Oliveira? I was scrolling on Instagram. I saw a meme that said Yuri Prohaska after his daughter is born, and he goes on the Charles Oliveira title run, and it has Yuri Prohaska with the bald haircut and the Charles Oliveira portrait tattoos that he has on his chest. You know, the same blonde haircut, and I'm like, yeah, it's fair to put him in the S tier. It looks good. It's the most iconic haircut on this tier list, and it doesn't look bad. I think it's possibly the best haircut on this tier list if we are going off the criteria that we are going on, which includes the X factor and how iconic it is and how good it looks. I think there's nobody arguing it might be the best haircut in UFC history. You know, I think it is arguably the best haircut in UFC history. And I'm not just saying this because I am a Charles Oliveira glazer, because I am a Charles Oliveira super fan, because I legit crashed out after Charles got slimed by Topuria. And it's not because I had one of the best days of my life after Charles Oliveira won the BMF belt. It's not because I'm a super glazer. It's more like I am a super glazer because of all the things Charles Oliveira has. That includes the haircut and just how iconic it is. Like there's literally memes. If you have ever scrolled on Instagram and you're a UFC fan, you'll see the memes. Brazilian fighters after they get their first UFC bonus, and it's just a fighter with their hair dyed blonde and with their teeth shining bright, and that's literally Charles Oliveira. You know, it's the most iconic. I don't think there's any argument for Charles Oliveira to be any lower on the tier list. And that's why I'll put him above Paddy Pimblett, and I think it's genuinely the best haircut on this tier list, and I think it will be the best haircut on this tier list no matter what. And yeah, that wraps up the tier list, and that's it. It's a shitty video idea, I know. Nobody's actually even watching this shit. But yeah, I think this was a pretty fun idea. I had to make a video. I did make a video about the light heavyweight division state, but I didn't have much to say about it except for I ranted a bit on it, how shit the division is. So I just scrapped that video idea. And I was like, yeah, you know what? Fuck it, I might as well make this video. So yeah, I think I'm gonna make the predictions video tomorrow. I gotta go watch some tape on Gilbert Burns. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And I'll see you guys in the next one.